I'm Kristen Russell, and this is the Wholly Empowered podcast, where we dive into all things holistic healing and open our minds, hearts, and paradigms to new ideas so we can live our most empowered, healthy, joyful lives. I'm Kristen Russell, and this is Wholly Empowered, and we're here with Tam Pendleton today. And I'm so excited. She's been a mentor of mine, and she created the Healer's Blueprint, which we're going to talk all about today. So Tam, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit? Give us a little bit more about you.
Sure. I've been a licensed massage therapist and trained in the world of traditional naturopathy, and I love energy medicine and frequency, which is kind of the new world, the path that we're on that is not very well understood on the planet that we live on. But its day has come and more people understand it. And so I have a healing center in my little town of Springville, Utah, where we have our friends and guests come in and help serve them with the emotional, physical, spiritual issues that are bothering them, because it doesn't really matter with energy medicine, like what the reason is. You don't have a stomach ache because you ate a bad batch of pizza. It's probably something more than that. It's just a fascinating world of energy and how our bodies are fully energy. And with traditional medicine, we tend to have an allopathic approach to the body, and it's all divided up. And I'm here to look at your ear, not look at your whole body, right? Or I'm here to look at your throat, but I'm not going to look at the rest of your body to see how it's all interacting. So it's very divided up these days instead of a doctor looking at the whole you. And so in energy, it's easy to look at the whole you and see how the stresses you've been under have manifest as pain, difficulty in relationships, or with your body.
So, yeah, and I love what you've done with your, would you call it a clinic or wellness center, I guess?
Yeah, it's a little clinic. So, it's a bunch of mamas who just work together and practice and love what we do. And it's kind of our sacred space because we think what we do is sacred because people are sacred and beautiful to us. So special place.
Yeah, it is. It's excellent vibes there, and I've gotten a lot of healing work done over there, and it's been awesome. So love it. So can we just start with at the beginning? What
Sure.
got you into all of this, and kind of what's your story and how you got here today?
That I am a faith-based person, and so I can try and be really brief with how I got here, but I'm a faith-based person, and being that person, I believe in God. I respect all religions, but I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe He's the great healer. And so in my journey to find my own healing through lots of depression and pain, I found the healing power of Christ. And so trying to turn that into healing for your heart, your body, your organs was a bit of a journey. And so I encountered people along my path in my life that were in tremendous pain. And I noticed that I had kind of a gift if I touched them or listened to them, I could help them feel better. And I believed that was a gift that I received through God. So I chose to partner in that. I chose to allow my faith and allow my gifts to kind of come together. And I watched people heal in my life. And then my children, when they were finally raised, because I had a lot of kids and it took me a while to get them grown up. And I had a very interesting experience where I was just told, it's time for you to pursue your education now. Because I gave it up, when I had my first child. And so I pursued my education and I felt like I needed to go learn body work. So in my late 40s, I'm going to go be a massage therapist. Okay, that sounds easy on the body, right? I mean, it was a challenging thing. And then the minute I was there and I was training other therapists, I loved what I did. I realized through lots of friends and my own interaction, my own healing journey, that the pain that was in the body was largely due to the stresses and emotions that came up. So I was having lots of back pain, and my friend kept saying it's emotional. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not emotional. I hurt my back. Okay, I can tell you when it happened and what happened. And it was like such a journey. But I knew it was right. I knew that was right. And so I began this long journey of trying to heal myself. And so I started looking for practitioners that might help me. I found a book called The Emotion Code that came out and kind of changed the world 15 years ago. The whole world started looking at, oh, wow, we can really mess ourselves up with how we have interpreted the world around us and chose to feel about it. And right there, how we interpret the world around us and how we choose to feel about it is the basis of all my work. We have a choice on how we see things, and no one ever tells you you have a choice. We're just like victims of whatever happened to us. And I learned that that is not true. And that has been the most joyful thing on my journey, is to realize that. So from that, I learned from the beautiful world of Dr. Brad Nelson's work with the Emotion Code. He actually mentored me, and I was one of the first practitioners he had in the world as a body code practitioner. And I loved that work, and I loved him. And his book introduces quantum theory to us in a very simple way. And that's what I love. I'm recommending the book. I mean, I always do recommend that book. It's a great book. And from there, I realized I was having trouble keeping people, or I wanted to keep people from putting the same stress in it. Like as a massage therapist, you want to help somebody's muscles heal. So you say, don't go lift a 20-pound bag of flour without using your knees. I mean, you're just like, don't do that for a while. Let's heal up. And from an emotional standpoint, it was, how do I help these ridiculous, we all feel so, these patterns we have feel so ridiculous and redundant to us. We're just tired of it. And I wanted to know how I could help them clean out this cache of emotion they had and not put it back in. And that began my quest. I became a life coach. I tried all kinds of things. I left body work and did other things, just trying to figure out how I help people change their patterns. And I prayed for a long time. Like, as I said, I'm a person of faith, and I wanted to find answers. And literally one day I heard a voice in my head say to me, Tam, the time is come, and I want you to mentor these particular people, and I want you to teach them what you know, and I'm going to give you what you're looking for tonight. I said, okay. So I chose thehealersblueprint.com and went to bed with a pad of paper next to my bed. I woke up at 4 o'clock when I heard my name called. I sat up in bed and I received for hours and hours. I started drawing a picture, and the picture had 12 parts to it. It was a circle with 12 parts, and that was the beginnings of the Healer's Blueprint, which is just a big list of questions that you can ask the body using muscle testing and figure out what is going on, what this unique creature how they've interpreted the world, how they've stored trauma, pain, sadness, and how it's been created inside their body, and how we can let it out.
Yeah, I've gone to practitioners who've done the Healer's Blueprint, and I love how comprehensive it is. Like this, it's a wheel, right? And it's kind of this little map. You can find all the all the potential causes or solutions or whatever. And it's incredibly, I don't know. There's just like all the options there. And I don't feel like anything else that I've tried has been able to pinpoint the kind of the root cause as well.
That's been
So,
my experience. That's what I think is so great about it too.
yeah. So, as far as people that you're working with, like populations, who's the most common population, or what are the most common issues that I know it's just everything, right? But
Well, the most common demographic that I serve are females, and really from just about all ages, from teenager on to elderly. And the most common are women that they're usually late 30s onto 40s, and through their 50s, they're on a mission to heal. And so that's the most common. But they're really women of all ages, and then men, usually between 30 and 50. And the list of men is smaller. There's a definitely smaller amounts of men that I see, but boy, they do so well. It's just so fun to see how well they embrace energy healing work and use it and change their lives and save their families. They save their families,
Yeah.
changing themselves. It's very exciting
Like when people are ready,
when they're ready.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. What are some of the most common things that people come into you for?
Mm.
Like, are there specific, I know trauma in general, but like,
Yeah, what's their complaint?
yeah, yeah. Like
Usually
for somebody listening, sorry, for somebody listening, if they're going, what is this? Why should I maybe look into this?
well, one of the things, there's kind of little categories. One of those things is often authority issues. They have difficulty with parents and it's showing up as their families are getting fractured, right? They're away from their families are splitting apart all the time. Like the options is you're my way or the highway. You don't like the way I do things? Bye. I mean, that's kind of where our society has been going. So there's a lot of healing rifts in families and authority issues with parents, authority issues with God. There's a lot of spiritual wounds out there. All churches across the board are having shifts in how people see things. And, God's still the same, but organizations have changed and people have problems with that. And so it's kind of interesting in watching people kind of shift from how they've been raised and the authority figures they see, but they still have to heal that thing with God because they believe it. Most people still believe in God and they want to give it some other name, but they still believe in God. And so that's probably my favorite thing. I love that. Love just helping people find what's in the way of them seeing the truth for them. And I never tell them what the truth is for them. I just try to help them discover that. And the other thing would be depression and anxiety. There's a lot of, we all know there's lots of sexual abuse out there, lots of chronic abuses of whatever kind. And that was probably the next most common. And that can source out from anxiety and depression too. But sometimes, there's a lot of strange energy on this planet now. Kids listen to phones that are 5G, they've got them in their head. And I think those things really do have an impact on how our kids are developing and issues that they might have.
Yeah. Yeah. And gosh, I mean, I've taken your course, like
Healers
what do you call
Academy.
it? The academy? Yes. And so I've like learned all these things, and I'm wondering if you can take us through how a session goes. I feel like it's just unique how you do things, and I've talked about this a little bit in previous podcasts, just in general, but this is kind of the modality that I've connected with the most, and I think because it is Christ-centered and that's my frame, it's helped me so much. And I think sometimes as Christians, we're a little wary or we're kind of nervous about energy and what does it mean and how does this all work? And so I'm wondering if you can kind of just take us through how it works. How does energy work? What is this?
Work. Okay. So energy is something that I have loved trying to understand. And what I see, what I know about, is it okay if we do an interactive thing for just a minute?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
So, like, I've done this demonstration before. So if you see me around, I'm going to do this demonstration because it just shows it's pretty easy to see. It's like you take your hands and you do a Mr. Miyagi and you rub them and then you hold your hands out. And I encourage you to do this with me and
Okay.
feel what you feel in your hands when you take them apart. I mean, what do you notice? And especially in the palm of your hand. Do you notice anything in the palm of your hand? And what I feel is kind of a pulse. It's not my blood, my heart. It's a pulse. And that movement, some people would call the pulse of the universe. I believe it is the power of light, creation, goodness, dare I say, the light of Christ that I believe is in every living thing. And so as you feel that movement, what we're basically doing is if you can kind of, if you were to take that pulsing hand that has that light moving through it, that goodness that's, we're focusing on good, you can use this energy to focus on bad and get great results. But then we've got other complications that we do not want to entertain. So if you think about putting that pulsing hand which is a chakra, by the way. This is a powerful chakra. It's kind of like Iron Man. Okay, I like these things. Iron Man is sending out energy with the palm of his hand, and we can do that. And we are not made of a suit, right? We just put that right over our heart, which is another chakra, and you're creating some powerful energy in your heart. Powerful, powerful energy that can impact your heart. And so it's basically, I believe that energy is all around us. We learned that from Einstein. And what Einstein shows us about quantum theory is, which is the light of Christ, in my opinion, right? Is that, like you can watch, Einstein watched energy somehow in his experiments. He saw energy moving about randomly all over the place. And he learned this cool thing. When you watch energy particles, and energy particles are subatomic, right? They're your little cells in your body, they have atoms in there, and those atoms have protons and neutrons. And the movement of those neutrons, sorry, as they move inside each atom, they have a vibration. They create a rhythm that is a vibration. And each cell of your body is operating at a vibration that's perfect for it, that's made to be it. It's like you're just expressing who you are by sitting here today. We are expressing life just by sitting here, as all those cells do their specific jobs. So if something is to come along that might interrupt that pattern for that atom, and it can no longer function at the high vibration it's meant to, then it starts to decay. It's like throwing a wet blanket on a fire. It's gonna stamp out the fire of that energy. And the thing that Einstein learned was, you let energy go crazy and it's going to go crazy and do whatever it's going to. But as soon as energy knows it's being watched, it falls into patterns of order. And that changed the world. So we know, and it's so fun, have you noticed, like the minute you start to realize some truth about your life, just realize, even if it's, I'm uncomfortable. What's wrong with me? It's like, well, you have a rock in your shoe. I have a rock in me. Oh, and you feel better already because there's a rock in your shoe. It's kind of the same thing. As soon as you observe the energy in yourself, like I'm like noticing, I'm feeling kind of selfish about this interaction I've just had with my husband, right? I feel kind of selfish, and just looking at it and realizing it, it's like, oh, things can settle down. And that's sort of the way energy works. We ask those in the Healer's Blueprint, we're asking 500 questions. And we're not asking the 500 questions. We're muscle testing to see where we need to go for this person. And when we go there, we identify it. Their subconsciousness cannot lie. It cannot lie. It can hide. And so we only work with people who want to be there. But we're finding exactly what's happening. And the conscious mind may not even be aware of it, but the subconsciousness has been creating this, hiding this, working this thing, trying to keep safe using whatever perception they have of their life experience. They're going to do something to stay safe. They're going to create some kind of structure to stay safe. They're going to build a tent, and it's like, I'm not safe, so I'm going to build a tent. I've just been hurt badly. I've just been shamed. So that's what I am, is I'm a shame. So I'm going to build myself a big structure of shame. That's who I am. That's what I am. I'm shame. And then I'm safe because I know what I am. I'm shame. And then we kind of discover you're not shame. You're totally anything but shame. And we can take down those walls that people build around themselves, those structures they build around themselves, and they can start to be themselves again. We take the wet blanket off by using the quantum theory to talk to the subconsciousness, lift away. There's one thing I'd like to add to that. I don't know if you've ever been to like a hotel and you got a room key card. And room key cards are a lot like human beings. They are electromagnetic in nature. And so you have had all kinds of experiences in your life, and all of those experiences have been recorded on your being, all over your being. And like the room key card, you walk into a hotel, you've paid your money, they know who you are, they imprint this card with specific information that will open the door to the room when you get to it. And that's what we do. We go to the room, we go inside, and we have a little safe place. Then we leave the room, we put that little card next to a cell phone, and the cell phone erases because it is a big, powerful electromagnetic device. It erases that smaller electromagnetic device, and the card is now free of information that allows you to go back in your room. Have you ever had that happen? Like,
I haven't, but
I've got 5 kids. It
I
happened
believe
to
it.
we took him anywhere, right? And so that may not be how room keys work now. There's all kinds of different ways, but that is how room keys worked for a long time. So you are like that room key. You have all this stuff imprinted on you, and it can be erased with energy healing, can be erased with a great big, powerful observation, and put you right back into having your card be yourself, your body being free from the energy. It is fast, it is effective, and is a whole lot easier than spending years in talk therapy.
And that's what I've found is it almost feels like you're cheating. Like,
We should
'cause-
suffer more.
yeah, because you go in and you like, I mean, I've been really blessed to work with really talented practitioners that just, it's like they just see what's going on. And that's something you were talking about earlier. I was wanting to bring it up and you brought it up, but the fact that when we just identify something, things just start shifting. Like sometimes that's all you have to do is just bring it up. And I think that's really powerful just in people's everyday lives, realizing like if you can just identify kind of what's going on, it helps the energy shift and it helps you start moving in the right direction.
It's true. And I remember Dr. Phil when saying to the world, I don't know if he's still around, but I remember his book, and he basically said, you can't fix what you don't see. And just by acknowledging what's there and speaking the truth, it just lets the cat out of the bag, and the fight can be over. And there might be a lot of cats to let out of the bag, right? But one thing at a time, one layer at a time, we let go until eventually there's peace for us. And that's my favorite thing about energy is it's a layering. It's a line upon line. You didn't get into a place of pain and disastrous stuff, usually all in 1 second. There were perceptions that happened earlier, then life experiences that confirmed those beliefs that you have about yourself. And then you move forward going, I'm broken. And then the body goes, we're broken. And the body says, well, let's show how we're broken. And we have cancer now, and we have GI issues. We have all these interesting autoimmune things that are popping up, and they very much can have an emotional base to that.
I've used it a lot for emotional problems too, like physical, emotional. I feel like you're using this spiritual lens. I feel like often in healing we don't consider the spiritual health side. And I feel
Mm.
like with this you're using that's kind of the mode, right? Would you
Yes,
agree?
yes, and I've studied a lot of Chinese medicine, and in Chinese medicine, they don't believe it's a physical start. They believe there's a psychological, there's a physiological reason. Nothing happens in the body. Not necessarily an accident where you've been hit by a car, but illness that evolves. The Chinese address that very much through the meridians of the body, and they're looking at the total health and the physical that needs to move and the psychological that needs to move and to be together. And our medicine in the US isn't quite doing that yet. So that's kind of it's kind of exciting to see, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, with energy. Is it a trauma? Is it some belief you had as a little kid? And there's some other question you asked me in there, but I forgot.
Just if you feel like with the healer's blueprint, it feels like spirituality is kind of like the base of or the means by which we're healing all these other areas. And usually I feel like we go through the physical or the mental, emotional, and we're looking at it from a different way. And it feels more like we can actually get to a more comprehensive healing place of healing
I love
through
that.
that.
We are, I believe, a divinely designed being that has lived forever and will live forever. And now we're in this body on this planet trying to figure out how to be in that body that is determined to survive and will just has an ego that is really sometimes hard to work with and yet essential. And so that spirit having a very physical experience can be tough on us. It can be really tough on us. And like I said before, if the key to healing, we know from studies that people who believe in a higher power, they do much better in healing. They just do better. And so you can do your healing by yourself, or the message of the blueprint is implementing the power of Christ. Of all the gods that people look at on this planet, there's only one who gave all that he had and his life so that we could have peace and heal. And not everyone wants to believe that, and that's just fine, but that's what I believe. So if it's like I believe the mission of the Healer's Blueprint is to share that message that anyone can heal from anything. Just look to the light, look to the source, and claim your healing because it's already been done. He already gave his life for it. And that is very close and tender to my heart.
It's close to mine too. And I feel like I didn't really understand how to apply the atonement into my life before I experienced working with a practitioner who used this modality. And just the way, as a lot of times we use like visualizations to help us process and release the things that we find. And that's powerful.
The mind is so powerful, Kristen. I'm so excited you said that because we just have images of our feelings. We may not be real visual people, but we have images in our brain. And you can ask somebody who's hurt and feeling broken and ask them. I asked a lady one time, what does it look like um, if we were, as I was muscle testing, finding where to go, she had a problem with an image in her mind. And I said, if you had an image that related to this problem of feeling sad right now, what would that image be? If it was a cartoon or a picture of you, what would it be? And she said, it would be a picture of me hiding in a corner with no friends and nobody who cares about me, just hiding my head and crying. That's the image that she had off the top of her head about what her life looks like. And that image has already played out in her belief system. And so that's kind of what we're looking at is how can we change our belief system? I don't think we can change our belief system without God's help or something bigger than us.
Something. Yeah, totally. I was going to go back to when you're doing a session. I don't know if a lot of people know what muscle testing is or kind of how that process might work, like when you're doing a session. Do you want to kind of explain that a little bit?
Sure. Sure. And when I refer to muscle testing, I'm talking about you may have lots of people have been to a chiropractor or something where they've raised their arm and then doctor has said, yes or no. He's getting yes or no answers. He's pushing on your arm and your arm will just fall. Sometimes it's like, wow, how could that fall? And because I work remotely with people, I work with people in my office, I work with people around the world, and I can't be in the same room with them. So I muscle test using my hands. And I'll ask permission, Kristen, is all right if I muscle test for you so that I can get answers that are you and not me from answers from you using my body. And so I'll use my hands. This is a very much an electrical circuit issue. There's ways to explain it, but off the top of my head, I'm asking yes or no questions, and yes questions hold the electricity in your body makes it hold. It's like a yes, and if it's a no, my fingers would break right through. So it's kind of an odd thing to me. It's like a sacred foreign language where we can speak to the subconsciousness. The subconsciousness cannot hide from us. I mean, it tries to hide, but it really can't because it only knows truth. It only knows truth. That is the most exciting thing about and the most divine thing about us is that we are beings of truth. And so muscle testing is just a way to find out what the subconscious mind is thinking. I use it when I'm doing hypnotherapy. I use it when I'm doing trauma work because it helps me cut to the chase, find out what's going on. Muscle testing helps us go to places that normally in talk therapy you would have to. I'm not talking down to talk therapy because I think it's a great part of it's helped me be a happy person, but I think we need that teamwork. And so by using muscle testing, we can ask questions that otherwise it might take years to get to the answers when we can do it quickly and without traumatizing someone, release that energy and let them discover in a safe way what's been bothering them.
So you use that to go through the blueprint, figure out kind of the root things, figure out all the layers we can work on in a certain session, and
Yes.
then release it via different things, right? Different
Yes.
techniques.
Visualization, just helping somebody relax and kind of, but it's all energy medicine is it's all about vibration and frequency, and which is the hardest thing for people to understand. So when you're speaking in terms that are of light and goodness, that's a high vibration. Things that are dark, shameful, and painful are a low vibration. And so we're just helping. That's people feel better. They feel lighter. It doesn't really matter what work you do. They usually feel, oh, I feel lighter. I feel better. It's just the way it works. So if you're going to feel better, like, yay.
Yeah. No, I feel like you're the only person I've ever heard talk about energy ethics
Mm.
when addressing energy work. And I love that so much because I feel like people get into this a little bit. And I think this is where you can get into kind of like muddy water, or, it can just get kind of like not feel good. And I don't know if I feel like the first time I really experienced someone kind of violating my energy was when they were giving me a hug, and it feels like they want information from you or something. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but it's just kind of like this, there's a breach where it's like they're kind of, and we do this and we can feel each other, you're around people, you can feel their intention, or you can feel people refer to energy vampires or something often. But I don't know if you want to speak on that for a moment. Just what is energy ethics, and if you're going to be in that space at all, what are some things you might want to know
Well,
about that?
I love that. So part of the huge issues with energy ethics is that we tend to be a very codependent society. And so codependency means we are we kind of drop down and train with other people's feelings rather than stay a sovereign state where we're safe in our own selves and we know who we are and we're not letting anybody mess with us and in all kindness and on all goodness. And so codependency is kind of a counterfeit love where we manipulate others, we please others, we manipulate others to get what we want so we stay safe. Because usually there's some kind of fear in the middle. It's like, I'm not going to get enough love, I'm not going to get what I need. And so I'm going to have to manipulate this situation to get what I want. And I mean, I see it every day. It's the number one conversation I have with any human being is, let's talk about codependency, and release the stories that go along with that. So one of the things that I notice is, especially with practitioners or people that have really good hearts and they struggle with codependency and struggle being a pleaser, they're usually trying to take. They're giving something, but they're really taking at the same time. They want something in return. The action they just made was all about you thinking they're great and that maybe they'll love me. And when we do that, we open it. It's love that is taking. It's not real, it's counterfeit. And so that happens a lot. And it's like also codependency is doing the right thing for the wrong reason or the wrong thing for the right reason. And so if we look at our society and that's how we're based, we are doing things for the wrong reasons and it creates ethical problems. So we're doing this because we want someone to think we're great. And so and the reason why we have strong ethics in the Healer's Blueprint is that we've had a lot of licensed clinical social workers or doctors of psychology or people with a master's of psychology who are practicing the blueprint. And they're like, wait, we can't, they're used to a very heavily licensed world. And so my goal was, and working with some of those amazing practitioners, was how can we keep ourselves legitimate here, not be interrupted by the state in how we treat our clients? How can we be more ethical in how we're treating clients? Because we are an unlicensed world in the energy field. So that's where it came from. And so we adapted principles that are used in the clinical world to so that nobody's sitting around dinner and mom has just done a session on Joey and then says, "Today with Joey, I found the most fascinating energy. And the reason why he's wetting the bed is this." I mean, that stuff happens in a family. And it is just, can you imagine poor Joey? And then what happens is we've got an energy wound. Somebody who has been using energy on us has created a trauma. And so I've cleared a lot of traumas from people. There's churches that have real big problems with energy healers because there are energy healers out there with absolutely no ethics at all. And so they've given us a bad name in the church, whatever church you're in, they've given us a bad name in society and in the medical field. So we have to keep our noses clean. We have to walk a straight line and we have to be 100% responsible for our behavior as a practitioner and keep our hands to ourselves, unless you're licensed to touch.
That's right. Yeah. When I was learning from you, you really stressed asking permission. And I feel like when people are learning, it can be kind of all over the place. Like you're like, well, I can just access their energy. And it's like, no.
Or, I had one lady who had certified through the Healer's Blueprint, and she called me 3 days later. And when people certify with me, I let them work on me because I want to see how their work is and feel that, right? So I'm driving down the road. I get a text from her and she's saying, "Well, we did that session a few days ago and I'm just checking in with your body." And it's like, you haven't cleared that whole thing yet. And it was like, get out of my space. The permission to be in my space was during that appointment. We made the appointment. I totally gave my permission, but then it ended. Wash your hands of me and let me go. Stay out of my space. And it's a violent reaction in me. It's like, get out, because I have had enough of people
Yeah.
crossing boundaries in my early life. So that's a real
Yeah.
thing for me. It's
Well, and
like,
I think it's a easy mistake to make, like with such good intentions.
because, and so I would say that, as when people, we want to help people, that's when you say a prayer. You say a prayer and you ask God to help them, and you're not going directly to them with your energy going, "Oh, I'm going to fix you because I want to fix you, and you need me to fix you because I want you to know I'm working on you so that you feel better and it's me doing it." It's like, no, 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 no. No, let God be in charge and let him provide miracles. Let God prevail in the lives of our clients and our friends and family.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the friends and family too, like just most people that are listening are probably just this is the first time they're hearing about this. But but yeah, I think it applies, to just your interpersonal relationships. And when you have an awareness of, oh, the way that I'm interacting with this person matters. And yeah, anyway.
Really, I think the thing that has changed me as a practitioner the most is that there can't be any judgment about the person in front of me. There is no room for judgment. There is only room for love. This is a work of love and of honoring that. It's a namaste. Namaste means my divine sees your divine, and that's the space of energy. That's beautiful energy. It's a great place to be, and that is how I believe great success happens. And also the reason for permission, right? You can be in the middle of a session with somebody and all of a sudden it'll pop up. Nope, out, 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 out. I don't like where you just took me. And so it's like, okay. So we ask permission again or we get out. We just honor people where they are, who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to talk about a couple of just some things that we can take from insights that you've had via like the blueprint that could maybe just help people as they're going about their life. I remember you telling us about like energy shifters, like ways to just kind of like popping a balloon or, ways to shift your energy that are just simple. I feel like if you're becoming aware of this for the first time, it's kind of helpful to just try things and be like, oh, I'm making that connection now that this is energy versus like, and it's all kind of the same, right? Like, I feel like in psychology, we learn things that are helpful and it's often kind of it's an energy shifter, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so great. Well, I think there's kind of quite a few of them. And one of my favorite all time, we sort of have already done it. I showed you Mr. Miyagi and feeling that energy. And for me, that is a shifter right there. I've just shifted where I was because the energy is flowing through me. I can feel it through my heart and through all of me when I just do that little bit. But even when you're feeling sad and you're in a tough moment, one of my favorite things is to just put my hand on my heart and close my eyes and feel what I'm feeling. Like, okay, I feel sad. It is terrible. I feel so sad. And it's like, even though I say the words, even though I feel so sad right now, I'm going to love and accept myself just as I am, no matter what. And that is a choice. Like I said before, you are not the victim of the experiences of your past. You are a co-creator with God and how you want to move forward and see your life. And so to stop and say, even though I'm sad, even though you're seeing this sad picture, it could be a picture when you're 3 years old, this sad moment that you're remembering. I'm going to love and accept myself as I am and just kind of take in that story that you see, let it pass, literally pass through you, not bounce off you, but move through you and feel it and just kind of let it be. And then it releases the stress. And then, even more simply, I would say touching your fingertips. This works for me so well. I recently had a flight that it was clear I was going to miss, and lots of things that were going to be a problem because we were missing this flight because my husband realized he forgot his passport. It was like, seriously? So I could be mad at him, I could be mad at the situation, all my stories of panic and depression and crazy stuff flying out of me. And it's like, I noticed my fingers started moving. It was like, I'm feeling my fingertips together. I'm feeling what the thumb feels against that fingertip. And I only feel what the fingertips feel like together. And I start to breathe. And in about 30 seconds, you feel different. And can I share one more?
Yeah. Feel free.
Everybody loves different things. So
Hmm.
if you put one, like, you can't really see me, but my hand is going in my right inside my belly button. My fingers are going in my belly button and my other on my forehead. And you just hold. And this is kind of your central meridian. It's like you're accessing your governing meridian in your body and your central meridian. And these are powerful energy places. So like I'm standing up, you can see hand and belly, right? And you just hold it there for about 15 seconds. And all of a sudden, you'll feel this huge need for a great big deep breath. It's very powerful. It's my trick when the kids are fighting in the car. We pull over, we put our hands on our head and our belly, and we breathe for just a second. And in 20 seconds, I'm not going to kill them anymore. Life is good and we're moving on.
No one dies today. It's a great
No
day.
one dies in this minivan today. So, those
And
are
that's life changing right there.
yes. Those three things are very powerful tools and really help calm the central nervous system, the parasympathetics, and even bring your meridians together, which is like big stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel like little things like that are that's what changes everything, you know?
I feel
And
fantastic now.
I know, I'm like, we should have done that at the beginning of this
From
interview.
the beginning.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you have your integrating wellness in Springville, and you offer a lot of different services there. What can you list off? Like, I don't know if you can. No.
We have different, we have a beamer, we have things that are going to offer, PEMF, yummy technology that's great for the microcurrents are great for like the blood flow. We have detoxing foot baths, we have a Mingan bed, we have lights that are just provide great therapy. Those are little services that we have. And the best thing we have is, well, we have a great massage therapist who works there. We have My partner and I, Stephanie Stoker, we've been doing this for 7 years, and she has a practice that we do very similar things, but we're very different, and we have a different clientele, and we love to work together too. So between craniosacral therapies, we do a lot of trauma work. That's the main focus of my work is trauma. I mean, if you went to kindergarten, then you know trauma, right? And so that's where my love lies, is how can I help somebody just feel better today? And we've discovered things like, even just by, you relieve some trauma, and oh my gosh, that cancer in your breast just disappeared. Doctor can't find it anymore. I mean, it's incredible what can happen in the human body when it lets go of the stress and strain of the past.
Yeah, and I know I've gone in because you do Zoom or you do in person, and I've gone into in person, and it's Zoom's always great. It's always comfy, it's easy. You can mute the phone while you ugly cry, you know.
That's right. You
But
can escape the truth of what just happened in your release, right? I love that.
yeah, so it's great. But then yeah, in person you have like you use tuning forks, you have the A is it AO scanner?
Uh-huh. We have the AO
Yeah.
scan. I use a bed that it's got infrared technology. So while you're lying there and I'm doing my work, I'm releasing stuff from your brain, from your physiology, and the infrared is dumping garbage from your cells. So it's this is cellular work. We're working at a cellular level to bring peace at all of us who are doing any kind of body work or energy work. We are trying to change the energy and help and detox.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so many cool tools available and
More tools than I can use, and it's just so much fun.
yeah. Yeah, and Stephanie does hypnotherapy. Do you do hypnotherapy as well, Tam?
Yeah, I've been trained in that for the last
Oh,
15 years.
oh, okay.
And it's all right. It's not my, I use it. And
Mhm.
that's why I love visualizations and those various degrees that people can relax into. And that's where the healing happens, is in that kind of trance state that they put themselves in. And that is super exciting stuff. And so I've learned and evolved, and now I do different things that are a lot faster than traditional hypnotherapy and can have magnificent results.
Yeah. I was wondering if you could share some like really impactful moments you've had practicing this, if that's appropriate. I don't know if that's appropriate.
I think it is on clients or myself or
Well, I both, either or, honestly. I'd love to hear about clients, but also I'd love to hear how this has impacted your life.
okay. I have seen, a minute ago I talked about a client who came to me, her doctor sent her to me because she had a breast tumor, and the doctor was well aware that it was emotional base. And so she'd had some serious trauma at home, moms and dads, and difficulties there. And she needed to forgive her mom for some really painful things. So we went through the forgiveness for mom, and we went through clearing the energy and the process of forgiving dad as well. And it was so interesting as she put her hand on her breast, and I had my hand sitting on her hand, and I could feel the energy of what was going on in that breast. And it was one of the most powerful moments of my life, as I felt she had done all this work, and her belief system was, there is no reason in the world for me to have cancer in my breast. I choose no. I say no. I'm not going to do it. And her decision and her strength, I watched her obliterate her own cancer tumor. It was like, I can see things that I don't see. That's part of the gift of energy. I watched her obliterate that tumor. I knew it was gone. I felt her eliminate it from her body. She'd done everything she could possibly do. And it was just for her, that was her story, that it was going to go. She went back to the doctor 2 weeks later. Doctor couldn't find any trace of cancer in her blood or any tumor in her breast. It was gone. Powerful, powerful. And I've had other things similar to that. People are just in so much pain. And usually these stories, they have to do with the strength of a person who's just not willing to be a victim of their own body. They don't see themselves as a victim. And I had a lady who came into my office in so much pain, pretty much carried her in. It was an emergency situation. She didn't, she'd already been to like the chiropractor and a body worker and all that. She just laid on, she's like, I need you to do this. And so it was interesting. I feel like I didn't do anything. What I provided for her was a space. We looked at the pain, the emotional pain that she was in from difficulty in her marriage. She literally was carried in, and an hour later, she walked out. She was out of pain. She could move her limbs, she could bend, she could stand, she could walk. And I don't feel like that was me. I feel like it was her intention. She chose to get better. Now, have I chosen to get better and do I have problems? Yes, I still have problems and things. But there's just times when absolute magic happens because someone's heart is just, it's the right moment for them. It's the time, it's going to happen. And all you have to do is get out of the way and let them do what they're trying to do for themselves. Everyone has innate abilities for healing. We just do. And my only gift is that I do have healing gifts, but I'm also smart enough to sit back and be quiet and watch what God can do with his beloved who's in front of me. And that is the most magical thing of all.
Yeah, I feel like I've experienced this obviously with this modality, but also just myself with asking for Christ to come and help me. I've had miraculous things happen with my body where I'm like, thank you. That wasn't that wasn't me. That, it's just I just had a lot of faith and I needed it or whatever. The circumstances were right. So,
And wouldn't it be so cool if people could just kind of go, yeah, I went to a practitioner and these great things happen, and really start to see themselves as a co-creator with God for their own happiness and wellness, rather than like give the glory to the practitioner. It's like, it really is about, I mean, yay that I have some education, yay that you have education, and you are very gifted, by the way. I've experienced your gifts and I love them. And but isn't it so cool that people can show up and go, I'm here to get some healing, and I'm allowing myself to let go, surrendering to the process and let God heal me. And that I think is the essential of energy healing. And there's people who want to take credit for all that themselves. They want to be recognized, and we all have egos. We all want that kind of thing. But the truth is, a great practitioner just gets out of the way, holds the space, and allows the love and the miracle to happen that day that needs to happen.
it's so much more effective that way. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Have you had have you had any experiences yourself that you'd like to share?
Oh gosh, I've had so many. In fact, I had one today. I
Mhm.
had one today. I go and make sure that I get lots of work. And I went to somebody who literally I've taught her to do a lot of what she was doing, and but she was doing it her own way with her and following her own inspiration. And it was interesting. I've been recently working on toxicity in my body, right? I've been trying to drop some pounds here. And I've been very clear. I've understood that there is trauma in those fat cells, right? There's sadness and heartbreak and things in there. Those fat cells have been there a long time. And it was so fascinating as I was working today, talk about visualization, right? I started to see my younger self. Now this is okay. This is the crazy of energy world. You let your imagination that has created your pain, let your imagination heal your pain, and just kind of watched my younger self pull out this object that I couldn't understand what it was. I realized it was a fat cell. It was just kind of large. It was a fat cell. I'm like, okay, what am I seeing? And then all of a sudden there was another one. And then she's pulling out all of these objects that were, it was lipid tissue. It was, adipose tissue. It was fat. And I'm like, what the heck? And I just watched my younger self. I'm being very vulnerable here. Okay. And my younger self just was pulling it out of everywhere. And I realized those are fat cells. She's detoxifying my body for me. My own self, my own past self is helping me. It's like, here's where we stored the pain and the sadness that you're trying to let go of. So I'm just going to show it to you. And I honestly didn't know what to do with it for a minute. And then I asked God to help me. And there, God helped me just kind of flush it away before I kind of realized everything that was happening. And it was like massive amounts of like a cell about your cell house. Your body has millions and millions of cells, right? And it was just, there were millions and millions of cells all around me. I thought, no, that sounds kind of weird to somebody, but every bit of toxicity that you have in your body is stored in your fat cells. All your pain, your DNA has lots of garbage in it that's been stored in your fat cells for whatever reason to keep you safe and protect you from going to your organs. So I just found it to be so interesting that on my mind had been, I need to detoxify. I'm big into detox, fasting, whatever. And it was like, this is how my body wanted to show me that I had, as a child, stuffed pain and sadness inside my fat cells, keep me buffeted. I'd been abused as a kid. I was a fat little kid. I was trying to keep myself safe. And that story showed up. And I'm thinking, wow, thank you. I can see how I did that. And thank you for showing me. And maybe we don't have to have those fat cells anymore, right? Can we empty them now? Like literally, now that we have spiritually created that, can we physically allow that to happen?
That's like such a relief, right? When that happens.
Yeah, and that was a crazy story. And if you don't want anything to do with me, I understand because that was a crazy story. I mean, like, really, these poor people don't know anything about energy, and you're gonna tell them that, Tam? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I feel like that's just how it goes. Like we all have these, if you've done anything like this, you're gonna experience that. It's just your subconscious and your brain starts doing things. And if you've done any other kind of, I was doing a breathwork class last night, and you just kind of like you get into that subconscious space and you just kind of let things come, and
And boy, did it come.
things come, and you're like, well, that was interesting, but it was very cleansing and very helpful, and I couldn't have figured that out myself, you know? And yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's me. Big mouth. Open it up. Let it all out.
Oh, it's very helpful. So it's great. Uh, yeah, is there anything else you feel like we need to address or share while we're chatting about this, or that people might want to know?
Just you can find me at tampendleton.com. And
Okay.
I want to have an energy education. People who are spiritually minded don't always love me. People who are more faith minded feel more safe with me. And I love teaching energy. That is a joyful thing to me. And to teach energy, I have to practice energy. And I love that as well. I have the greatest job on the planet. It's helping people find some peace. And that's my favorite thing about energy is just people finding peace.
That's beautiful, Tam. Yeah. Okay. Well, so tambendleton.com. I know you're integrating wellness is on Instagram if people want to find you there.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is. Thanks. But yes, integrating wellness is also www.com integrating wellness.
.com.
www.
Okay. Yeah,
Integrating.
those are the best ways to get in touch with you?
Yeah, both ways will work.
Okay, perfect. Well, gosh, thanks, Tam. I really appreciate it. This is close to my heart. This has helped me heal more than anything else I've really done. Maybe, you know, like I said, it's helped me to connect with my healing source, which is Christ, and that has been the most impactful thing so far in my life. So so thank
Oh,
you for what you do, and thank you for sharing that today.
thank you, Kristen. Thank you for having me and thank you for sharing those perspectives. I appreciate it so much.
Of course. Thank you so much for listening. If you are enjoying Holy Empowered, share it with that friend or on your socials. You can also hit the follow button if you want to keep up with the latest episodes. Until next time, stay empowered.